You ever walk through New York City and think, how does this place even work? Cars everywhere. People rushing. Noise. Chaos. Then you open Google Maps. Zoom out, and suddenly Manhattan makes perfect sense. Göbekli Tepe is exactly like that. From the ground, it looks primitive. From above, it looks planned. And that's where the real problem starts. Because archaeologists didn't just find stones here. They found patterns, perfect spacing, hidden geometry, connections you can't see unless you step back. Just like New York, Göbekli Tepe only explains itself when you stop looking at it like a tourist and start looking at it like a planner. But here's what nobody talks about. Before we go any deeper, if you're the kind of person who likes questioning what history books take for granted, hit subscribe. Because once you see what's coming next, you won't look at ancient history or modern cities the same way again. You know what's strange about New York construction sites? Even when a building is torn down, you still find traces, old foundations, broken tools, human marks. Now take that idea and drop it on Göbekli Tepe. Because this place wasn't built by a small tribe. It was active for almost 1,500 years. Thousands of workers, massive stone pillars, daily labor, injuries, deaths, and yet, there are no graves, no burial grounds, no mass cemeteries, no scattered bones under the soil, no DNA trail you'd expect from a project this big. Göbekli Tepe is a city of stone. With no bodies. That's not normal. That's not even rare. That's wrong. Every ancient site we know, from Egypt to Mesopotamia, leaves behind human remains. Builders die. Workers age. People get buried nearby. But here, too, it's like the people were never there. 2. Imagine walking through Manhattan and finding skyscrapers, roads, tunnels, but zero human remains. No cemeteries. No history of the people who lived there. That wouldn't feel mysterious. It would feel disturbing. And here's where it gets worse. Archaeologists did find breadcrumbs, stone tools, animal bones, fire pits, signs of activity. But the bakers, gone. It's almost as if the site was cleaned. Not abandoned. Not destroyed. Cleaned. Like a crime scene, where someone knew exactly what evidence to remove. And that raises a question nobody likes asking. What if the builders didn't die there? 'Cause they didn't stay there. What if Göbekli Tepe wasn't a city, but a project site? You don't bury workers at a factory. You leave when the job is done. And if that's true, then Göbekli Tepe wasn't built by a permanent society. It was built by people who came, built something precise, and then vanished. And the most unsettling thought, what if they weren't just leaving the site? What if they were leaving us behind? Pause on that, because in the next part, the mystery gets heavier. They didn't just leave Göbekli Tepe, they buried it. Now, let's talk about the part that makes Göbekli Tepe feel uncomfortable, not abandoned, not forgotten, buried, and not by nature, by people. Picture this. You spend centuries building something, carving 20-ton stone pillars, aligning them with precision, organizing labor, food, tools, planning. And then, you cover the entire thing with dirt on purpose. This wasn't a collapse, no earthquake, no flood layer, no sign of panic. Archaeologists call it backfilling, but that word is too clean. Because backfilling Göbekli Tepe required more work than building it in the first place. Think about New York again. Imagine the US government builds the Pentagon and then decides to bury it, not destroy it, not repurpose it, just erase it from the surface of the earth. That's not preservation. That's intent. You don't bury trash like that. You don't bury temples like that. You bury something when you don't want it seen again. And here's the detail that chills archaeologists. The soil wasn't random. It wasn't natural debris. It was carefully selected. Stone fragments, animal remains, construction leftovers. Almost like they were sealing it. Like they were making sure whatever was inside would never come back out. And that forces a question no textbook is comfortable with. If Göbekli Tepe was sacred, why hide it? If it was dangerous, why build it so precisely first? Because people don't spend 1,000 years creating something, just to panic and erase it later. Unless the purpose had ended, or something had gone wrong, or someone decided the knowledge encoded in those stones was no longer meant to exist in the open. And here's the line that changes how you see it. You don't bury a temple. You bury a coffin. So the real question isn't why Göbekli Tepe was buried. It's this. What were they trying to keep from coming back? Hold that thought, because the next chapter forces us to ask whom this place was really built for. Now, here's where Göbekli Tepe stops feeling ancient and starts feeling engineered. For years, people looked at it from the ground, walking between pillars, standing next to carvings, and from that angle, it feels messy, random, primitive. But recently, researchers did something different. They stepped back, way back. They rebuilt Göbekli Tepe using aerial scans, 3D models, and satellite star mapping. And that's when something strange appeared. The pillars weren't placed randomly. They point toward a hidden center, a geometric focal point you cannot see, unless you're looking from above. Not from eye level. Not from walking height. From the sky. Think about that for a second. This sight only makes sense if someone could see the whole thing at once, like Manhattan. From the street, it's noise. From the air, it's a grid. But here's the problem. Göbekli Tepe is 12,000 years old. No drones. No planes. No satellites. No maps. So, how did they design something that requires an aerial perspective to understand? That's not accidental alignment. That's planning. Which leads to a disturbing question. Who was this layout meant for? Because if you're building 4 people on the ground, you optimize visibility at eye level. But Göbekli Tepe hides its logic unless you're above it. Almost like the real audience wasn't walking between the stones, but hovering over them. And before you think symbolic, remember this. Symbols don't need millimeter-level precision. Engineered layouts do. Someone checked the work. Someone verified alignment. Someone made sure the geometry held. So ask yourself this. If they didn't have the technology to see it from above, who did? And more importantly, who was Göbekli Tepe actually built for? Because once you accept that the design only works from the sky, the story stops being about ancient religion and starts sounding like forbidden engineering. One last chapter remains. And this one ties everything together. So, here's the real question I'll leave you with. Do you think Göbekli Tepe was built for the people who stood between the stones, or for someone who was never meant to stand there at all? Tell me what you think in the comments. I actually read them. And if questions like this keep following you long after the video ends, you know why this channel exists.